The young and the restless spoilers shock, a web of deception. Jordan and Claire had reached a fragile truce. Their recent embrace, though outwardly warm, concealed a sinister undercurrent. Both had ulterior motives, plotting to manipulate one another as they moved forward with their shared plans. For the first time in years, they appeared to be working together, their fractured relationship seemingly repaired. But not everyone believed in their newfound alliance. Ian Ward, a man who thrived on control and dominance, had been watching them closely. He knew Jordan better than most, her cunning, her deceit, and her insatiable thirst for power. He also saw the potential danger in Claire, a younger, more adaptable version of her aunt. The thought of them conspiring together made Ian furious. To Ian, loyalty was paramount. Any hint of betrayal was met with swift and brutal consequences. And now, the tenuous alliance between Jordan and Claire represented a threat Ian couldn't ignore. Ian sat in the darkened room of his secluded hideout, poring over the details he had gathered on Jordan and Claire. Every move Jordan made had been tracked, every whispered conversation noted. Claire's growing independence and Jordan's manipulations painted a clear picture in Ian's mind: they couldn't be trusted. "I gave them everything," Ian muttered to himself, his voice cold and sharp. "And this is how they repay me? Plotting behind my back?" He clenched his fists, his anger bubbling over. "I won't let them take me down. Not now, not ever." The decision was made. Jordan and Claire had to be eliminated. But Ian, ever the strategist, knew that one of them could still serve a purpose. Claire's youth and potential could be molded, shaped into a weapon to further his goals. Jordan, however, was beyond redemption. Captured. Claire and Jordan awoke in a cold, dimly lit room. The metallic scent of damp concrete filled their nostrils as they realized their hands and feet were bound tightly to chairs. Panic set in as their eyes adjusted to the light, revealing Ian standing before them, a loaded gun in his hand and an expression of calm malice on his face. "Good morning, ladies," Ian said, his voice dripping with mockery. "I trust you slept well. It's the last peaceful moment you'll ever have." Jordan, ever the manipulator, immediately attempted to regain control of the situation. "Ian," she began smoothly, "what's the meaning of this? We're on the same side." Ian chuckled, his eyes narrowing. "The same side? Don't insult me, Jordan. I've been watching you. I know about your little plans, your schemes. You think you can outsmart me?" Claire's voice trembled as she spoke. "Ian, you're wrong. We weren't plotting against you. Silence." Ian barked, his voice echoing in the small room. "I don't want to hear your lies." The plea for survival. Jordan quickly shifted tactics, her mind racing for a way to manipulate Ian. "Listen to me, Ian," she said, her voice softening. "I've made mistakes, I'll admit that. But I can still be of use to you. You don't have to do this." Ian's expression didn't waver. He stepped closer to Jordan, the barrel of his gun mere inches from her face. "You think I don't know you, Jordan? You've spent your whole life lying, manipulating, and betraying everyone who trusted you. You're poison." Claire, her heart pounding, decided to speak up. "Ian, please. Don't do this. We can prove our loyalty to you. Just give us a chance." Ian turned to Claire, his expression softening slightly. You might still be useful," he admitted. "But Jordan? She's a liability. And liabilities don't get second chances." Jordan's final gambit. Jordan, sensing her end was near, played her final card. "Ian, think about what you're doing. Killing me won't make you stronger. It will only create more enemies. People will ask questions, and they'll come for you." Ian smirked, unfazed by her threats. "No one will come for me, Jordan. You've burned too many bridges. No one will miss you." Desperation flashed in Jordan's eyes as Ian raised the gun. "Wait," she cried. "I can give you something no one else can." Information, power, resources, a deafening shot rang out, cutting off her words. Jordan slumped forward, lifeless, as blood pooled beneath her chair. Ian's face remained emotionless as he turned his gaze to Claire. Claire's new reality. Claire's scream echoed through the room, her eyes wide with horror as she stared at her aunt's lifeless body. Ian crouched in front of her, his expression now eerily calm. "Claire," he said softly, "Jordan was a cancer. She would have destroyed you eventually. I've saved you from that fate." Tears streamed down Claire's face as she struggled to process what had just happened. You didn't have to kill her." Ian tilted his head, studying her. "Maybe not. But I did. And now, you have a choice to make." He stood, pacing slowly around her. "You can choose to be like her, manipulative, deceitful, untrustworthy. Or you can choose to be better. Serve me, Claire. Prove your loyalty, and I'll make you more powerful than you ever imagined." Claire's mind raced. She hated Ian for what he had done, but she also knew that resistance would mean her death. If she wanted to survive, she had to play along. For now. The beginning of the end. Claire nodded slowly, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'll serve you, Ian. I won't betray you." Ian smiled, satisfied. "Good. You're smarter than I thought." But deep inside, Claire's heart burned with a newfound determination. She would survive this, but she would never let Ian control her completely. She would bide her time, gather her strength, and one day she would find a way to bring him down. For now, she would play the role of the loyal protégé, but the seeds of rebellion had already been planted. A new power dynamic. As Ian led Claire out of the room, leaving Jordan's lifeless body behind, one thing was clear: the game had changed. Claire was no longer just a pawn in someone else's scheme, she was now a player in her own right. And while Ian believed he had the upper hand, he had unknowingly created his greatest rival. The battle for control, loyalty, and survival was far from over. And in the shadows of Genoa, a storm was brewing that would shake the foundations of their world. Beneath the facade, Claire was a survivor. For years, she had learned to navigate the treacherous waters of manipulation, betrayal, and deceit, all while maintaining an air of innocence. It was this adaptability that allowed her to remain one step ahead, even in the face of danger. But now, as she sat bound in Ian Ward's cold, dimly lit chamber, she realized she was at a crossroads. Her life hung in the balance, and any misstep could lead to her death. Across the room, Jordan sat in a similar predicament, her face a mask of barely concealed rage. The once commanding woman was now at the mercy of a man she had underestimated. But more than Ian, Jordan's eyes burned with hatred for Claire. She had seen through her niece's facade, the subtle betrayal hidden behind those innocent eyes. Claire had chosen self-preservation over loyalty, and Jordan would never forgive her for it. The power play. Ian stood before them, the gun in his hand gleaming under the harsh fluorescent light. His gaze shifted between the two women, his expression unreadable but his intent clear. "You both think you're so clever," he began, his voice calm yet menacing. "But cleverness without loyalty is worthless. And I can't afford loose ends." Claire's heart raced as she considered her options. She knew Ian's reputation, he didn't leave survivors. But she also sensed something in his demeanor, a glimmer of respect for her ability to adapt, to choose survival over sentimentality. "Ian," Claire said, her voice steady despite the fear clawing at her insides, "you don't need to kill me. I'm not like her." She glanced at Jordan, whose glare could have cut steel. "I've proven I can be loyal. I've proven I can be useful." Ian tilted his head, studying her. "Useful, you say? And how exactly do you plan to prove that?" Jordan scoffed, her voice dripping with venom. "She's lying. She'll turn on you the first chance she gets, just like she turned on me." Claire ignored her aunt, focusing solely on Ian. "I can help you," she said, her voice firm. "Jordan's manipulations are over. I'll do whatever you need, no questions asked." All I ask is that you give me a chance. Jordan's patience snapped. You little snake, she hissed, struggling against her bindings. You'd sell out your own blood to save yourself? You're pathetic, Claire. Weak. Claire's mask of calm wavered for a moment, but she quickly regained her composure. I'm not weak, she said, her voice cold. I'm smart. You taught me that, Jordan. You taught me to always look out for myself. Jordan's laughter was harsh and bitter. And where did that get you? Tied up and begging for your life. Ian watched the exchange with mild amusement, the corners of his mouth curling into a faint smile. She's got a point, Claire, he said. You've been playing a dangerous game. But I'll admit, I like your style. The turning point. Ian stepped closer to Claire, his gun now trained on Jordan. Here's the thing, he said, his voice dropping to a near whisper. I like your resourcefulness. But I don't trust you. And trust is everything in this business. He turned his attention to Jordan. And you, he continued, you've outlived your usefulness. You're a liability, and I don't keep liabilities around. Jordan's eyes widened as she realized his intent. Ian, wait, she began, but the sound of the gunshot cut her off. The room fell silent as Jordan slumped forward, lifeless, her fiery demeanor extinguished in an instant. A deadly ultimatum. Claire stared at her aunt's lifeless body, her breath coming in shallow gasps. She had prepared herself for this moment, but seeing it unfold was something else entirely. She forced herself to meet Ian's gaze, her expression carefully neutral. You're next, Ian said matter-of-factly, raising the gun toward her. Unless you can convince me why I shouldn't pull this trigger. Claire's mind raced. She knew Ian wasn't bluffing. Because I'm not a threat to you, she said quickly. I can be an asset. You said it yourself, you like my resourcefulness. Let me prove it to you. Ian chuckled darkly. Prove it how, Claire? By swearing loyalty like every other person who's betrayed me? No, she replied, her voice steadying. By actions, not words. Let me show you what I can do. I'll work for you, no questions asked. I'll be whatever you need me to be. Ian studied her, his expression unreadable. And what guarantee do I have that you won't turn on me the moment you see an opportunity? Claire took a deep breath. You don't, she admitted. But killing me now won't guarantee your safety either. Keeping me alive at least gives you a chance to see if I'm worth it. The final judgment. Ian lowered the gun slightly, his lips curving into a smirk. You're bold, I'll give you that. And boldness has its uses. But don't mistake this for trust, Claire. I'll be watching your every move. The moment you step out of line, you'll end up just like her. Claire nodded, swallowing hard. Understood. Ian stepped back, holstering his gun. You'll start tomorrow, he said. For now, consider yourself lucky. But don't let that luck run out. As Ian left the room, Claire exhaled shakily, her mind a whirlwind of emotions. She had survived, for now. But she knew Ian's promise wasn't idle. She was walking a razor's edge, and one wrong step could mean her end. A new role, a new game. Alone in the silent room, Claire stared at her aunt's lifeless body, a mix of guilt and determination swirling within her. She had chosen self-preservation over loyalty, and it had cost Jordan her life. But Claire knew she couldn't afford to dwell on the past. Survival demanded focus, cunning, and the ability to adapt. As she prepared for the uncertain road ahead, one thought burned in her mind: Ian Ward might think he's in control, but one day, the tables would turn. And when they did, she would be ready.